All right, good morning. And now we bring it to the final segment of my original composition, and that is my analysis, my final statements based off of the participant research I've done and how I've compared that to the general body of knowledge. So, with that being said, I want to first state that after reviewing the footage between all three of my participants, I have basically concluded with the idea that in order for us to create a more generalized, not generalized, a more successful environment or way of education for younger people, for people in higher education, that we have to make it a hands on approach. And by doing so, we're going to have much more success. With Ariana, with Joey, and with Ali, the one consistent thing I heard from all three of them, and keep in mind, I kept their responses very separate because I didn't want them to all just, have a general mentality. But I did mention that when they did bring this up, that the other participants did have this thought process. And that was the idea of being hands on, the idea of being very uh, personal, the idea of being very intricate with what they wanted to do. And by doing so, I've learned that there's actually becoming a start to this. And I'm going to share my screen now. And I'm going to pull up the first source of what I'm actually going to be educating myself at, or what I've educated myself on based on the responses and based on the participants' information that I've been provided. So this is why sustainable education is crucial for the next generation. Uh, Last blog post was posted on November 18th, 2019. Basically, this had come out during my freshman year of college. I basically from this, what I'm understanding and what I'm learning is the importance of educating younger people who are more influential and finding a balance between environment and society, finding a balance between a classroom setting and an outdoor setting, and making it fun, making it beautiful, making people fall in love with this. Here we have an image right here that is showing a bunch of kindergarten to preschool age children, and here they're learning about plant life and farming. If I'm not wrong, there's a tomato plant right here in the background. If you can follow, if you can see this cursor. And what I'm enjoying about this is the optimism and different perspectives that they're sharing here. Here we have beekeepers. Here we have people harvesting the crop or plants. It's the beauty about this that I'm enjoying, that genuinely shows that we're on the right track. We're starting to understand what to do and we're becoming more active about it. We're trying to do what we can. And as a result, we're seeing ourselves become more successful in this field. We're seeing ourselves become more aware as well. And this also kind of translates to higher education. And, with Allison and Joey or Joseph, they both are from Chapman. Ariana's main difference from those two is that she existed outside of normal educational systems, but she got to see it through her family, what they learned, what they did. And one difference I saw, at least with this situation, is that there was different findings for people of higher education, and that it's not a direct road. Based on the literature, for example, a study that I had done from 2002, or that I had found, basically highlights the example of the University of Waterloo. And I'm going to quote this, or I'll share my screen and then I'm going to quote it. Let me just do that right now. Is here. University of Waterloo. The University of Waterloo is an example of an institution that has not signed any national or international sustainability declaration, but has created a strong environmental policy and is considered a high profile best practice case for sustainability in higher education. Um, Cited from this academic source, Deard and Mitchell, 1998, the terms of service for the University of Waterloo Green Committee has served as a university policy for 10 years, and the date has been very successful. And to date has been have been very successful. Basically, what that means to me as a student of a higher education institution. And based off what I've learned from other students that I had interviewed, Allison and Joey, for example, is with Chapman, for example, we're not doing bad. We're not doing great either, but there's room for improvement that's going to happen through individuals seeking out, through multiple students, one by one, becoming more aware of what's going on. And that's what I'm hoping this podcast does it as well. Um, there are clubs that are offered here at Chapman, such as Earth Club, which if I'm not wrong, is in the university still. I remember now looking into it my freshman year as well. And what I've learned from that is, from Joey and Allison at least, is the importance of hands-on education and becoming an individual and seeking out this information. We live in a system that is very systemic. We live in a system where we can learn about what we choose now because we're in college. And through this class, for example, I've become more environmentally aware, and I'm my own example because of the fact that I was not this type of person before coming into this class, but now I am. Um, Furthermore, based on what I've learned from Ariana, again, I want to reiterate is that she was not someone who went to Chapman. She's not someone who went to high school, elementary, or kindergarten. She was a homeschooled person, very wonderful, very intelligent. Um, and from her and her experience, she shared the same views as Joey and Allison due to the fact that she had a similar mindset of being eco-friendly, having awareness, knowing what's going on because she's self-educated. And I think that same principle applies to us as students here in higher education institutions, that by us finding out what we want to do slowly and developing those interests, we're more likely to create a bigger impact and change. And in terms of what we can do for the future, I think that the educational systems need to have a more hands-on approach that focuses on educating and making learning about the ecosystems, learning about environmental crises more interactive, more immersive. For example, as I mentioned earlier about this blog post from 2019, they brought groups of people, all different types of people, um, into these situations where they're learning about plants, they're learning about farming, growing their own foods, they're learning about beekeeping and some of the images they provided. That's a good start. That's a great start, actually. Being extracurricular, being external, and being a part of this is something that I've seen based on and has had a direct correlation with how someone has an opinion about the environment. We see this with Joey, especially. He was very adamant about oceans. He was very adamant about, you know, being hands-on with people and on community projects and helping the community. And that has a direct result from him being a part of Scouts since first grade. That has a direct result of him being a part of Eagle Scouts through high school. And, that also has a direct impact of him being from the community he is from. And this same aspect applies to me and myself and the other two participants as well, as we're all from more localized beach cities. We see a very real crisis every day, and that is beach cleanups, plastics, littering on the beaches, and other things such like that. That we actually have more generalized opinion about it. And I think that the same motto, the same aspect can apply to other aspects such as recycling more, composting, you know, things like that, solar energy, for example. We're more likely to formulate a general opinion now, especially because now we're not in those same areas. Now we're seeing other aspects. I'm from Long Beach, California, for example. In my own high school, we did not necessarily have those giant solar panels that we would see that would help fund the school's electricity that over their parking lots, like Marina did, as Allison stated. And also, furthermore, we didn't see those types of things, like because of the fact that the areas that we're from are very different. But what I did see in comparison was gardening. I did see that my school grew fruits. Same thing aspect of Joey as well, is that there's other ways that people became more aware, and there were other ways that education was able to give that general information. The only difference is that now you're going to have to find and continue this furthering of education and push yourself forward. But it has to be hands-on, and that's the only way you can learn this, because it inform you a real generalized opinion about such. And that's what I've learned. And in conclusion of this, I want to say is that the best way for education to influence the environment is to become more hands-on. And that can come in a different number of ways. And some of those solutions that might come up is in the future, with Allison, for example, being a future educator, she knows what problems are awaiting her, the future generations, in the very soon future when she becomes an educator. You know, for Joseph, for Ariana, and even for myself, we have that duty in the future at some point to be able to influence and educate the future generations and provide them the experiences that we have gone through, to encourage them to help begin change and incite it, because we have to be hands-on with this. And with what Joey had said, it starts with one. 1 million starts with one. And it may seem cliche, but it is genuinely true based on what I've learned, is that no matter what your educational background is you have that ability to become someone who is invested in the environment, someone who can become invested in the environment, and someone who can educate others, whether it be family, friends, future kids, or anything like that, your spouse in the future. you can you have that power to educate people. From what I've learned, you have that power to raise awareness, you have that power to be the best type of person you can, and for the future of the environment, educate people, share your information, and share what you care about as a human. And that's what I love. And that's what I love about this project, is the fact that I was able to learn these things and make a connection with them. Based on the general literature, it seems that we're already beginning to understand that. We have educational reforms here in higher education. Now, we see this in 2002, for example, the University of Waterloo. We don't have to sign anything legitimate. We don't have to be a part of no national agreement, but we can make a promise to ourselves as an institution. Chapman University, for example, is a privatized institution. And it's helpful because of the fact that we are able to learn from this. We're able to be our own accountability. The students can keep the university accountable, and the students can keep other students accountable. That's something that the University of Waterloo, for example, provided context and an example of. And I think that Chapman can benefit greatly from this. We don't have to sign any formal agreement saying that we're going to save more water, that we're going to donate millions of dollars to eco conservation. Because at the end of the day, yeah, that's all great, but we can also start right now with students becoming more aware. Students who, if they have that desire, I encourage students to go out and research what they want to do, because there's a lot more than just systemic education. From what I've learned, there's a lot more to that, because of what Ariana had told me. What I had learned from hers was the idea of sustainable construction from Earthships, from Caveman Update, from what she had taught me. And from what I know, there's a lot more you can do than just learning about it in a classroom. Same thing with Joey, same thing with Allison. Going out and exploring the world and seeing what you want to improve upon it in is much more helpful than just sitting in a classroom today and just saying, oh, that's terrible. So, to my class, to my professor, I want to say thank you for hearing me out here. And in conclusion, we have to move more hands on. We have to be more interactive with one another. And I know that's difficult right now because of what is going on with COVID-19, but we're almost out of it. Hopefully, we are almost done with it. So, what I encourage to the class is, in the future, just do what you want, do what you think you can to help the environment. It could be the smallest thing, like cleaning up a park, cleaning up a beach, but that goes a long way, and it goes a lot more than just someone staying inside at home. And I, for one, for example, have reflected upon this, and I want to become more involved with the ecosystems and the environment and becoming more sustainable as a person. So I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you for your time. Thank you to my participants. And I wish everyone the best with the rest of the original compositions. Thank you and have a great day. Again, it's all about being hands on.